Hello, everyone. It's Joseph, and I am here with Chris Sorby, who you will be meeting in just a second. I'd like to say thank you very much for tuning into iConixxx. And if you haven't, and I'm sure you have, but if you haven't, there are many more iconic documentaries of our industry leaders in all ways, shapes, and forms, from cutters to colorists to product developers, and so on and so on. So I encourage you to really spread the word and really get you and your friends in your salon and your salon stylist to just sit around for an hour and watch something that can be truly inspiring and give you something to talk to your guest about other than the movie you watched on Netflix. All right. With that being said, as always, I always say grab a piece of paper and a pen. The young lady you're going to be meeting may have some inspirational things that you may want to write down for yourself, and please feel free to do so. I'm now going to introduce to you someone that's been in my life for a really long time, and she's truly like a sister from another mother. The only thing that divides her and I are a large vase of water, the ocean. She comes from Oxford, England. Yes, she does. And allow me to introduce to you the fabulous Miss Chris Sorby. How are you?
Oh, I'm really great. Thank you, Joseph, and good to see your face. And just in case you're wondering where you can find these other iconic interviews that we've been doing now, we are on, I believe it is number 52. Wow. So you have one to watch every week of the year, and they can be found on our YouTube channel, which is called iConixxx Live, and that's iConixxx. So yeah, like Joseph was saying, please share them, because they in fact can inspire and appeal to anyone from even thinking about going into our incredible industry, or people who have been in our incredible industry for a long time and maybe they're getting a little jaded or, a little burnt out and stuff, and they need some pumping up. So please check them out. However, this is not about the past, it's about today. And have you ever wondered what it takes to be a platform artist? Have you ever thought how platform artists get their models? Or have you wondered what happens in a prep room at hair shows? Or how much time it takes to prepare for a show? Well, today, our incredible guest is a wonderful lady who has 52 years of experience as a hairdresser, a platform artist, and many years as a model room coordinator. And I think I've probably known her in her entire career as a model room coordinator. Meet the amazing Fran Attaway. Fran, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you, Chris. I'm very well.
Fran, so good. I just want to say it's so great to have you on here right now. Chris, we are lucky to be able to be speaking to this individual today. So I'm going to let you go ahead because I'm full of it. I mean, ready to.
I'm sure you are, but I always get the first question, Fran, because otherwise Joseph doesn't stop talking. So I'm going to ask you, like I just said, I have known you for many, 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 many years, which is an honor. And interestingly enough, whenever we've been together in the same room, we rarely got a chance, an opportunity to actually have a conversation. So I'm going to ask you now is what is the most important lesson that life has taught you?
That's a huge question. Life has taught me a lot. And I was prepared for this, and all of a sudden, no, I'm blank. To be flexible, to listen, to care, passion. It's taught me all those things. Love, life has taught me all of those, and love for many things, not just between a partner or a spouse or whatever, but to love what I do and what I have done and hope that I've made a difference.
You certainly have. Certainly in my life, and the 1,000 or so artists that I know that love you to bits. So yes, you have. And, you know, well, I'm getting a bit emotional here.
I am too.
Oh boy. You know, Fran, you helped me so much to be a platform artist. And thank you. Thank you for that. You pushed me, you yelled at me. And I didn't like it at the time, but I love it now and I missed you. Okay, Joseph, it's all yours because I'm going to have mascara down my face.
There's really a lot to be said here about this individual and what she has done to many of us. And I have like two questions. I can save one. I'm going to go to what the student would possibly ask you as far as your beginning. You know, what was your beginning? What inspired you? What school did you go to? How did that all look?
Well, I actually ended up going to school because I got a divorce and I had 2 children to support. And that was the only thing that I knew I really wanted to do. So I went to a beauty school and got my degree and then started working. And I loved what I did, but I thought there had to be more out there. And so that was about the time, well, Redken was several years old, but I got introduced to the product and saw what it could do. And I thought, well, you know, I'm hearing about these shows, so I want to go to a show and see what it's all about. And I did. And, you know, I'm always questioning things. And I thought, well, I wonder if they're really doing what they say they're doing. So started hanging around in the back room. And a woman noticed me by the name of Pam Arnold, now Peplo, and gave me the opportunity to go in and see what the artists were doing. At that time, it was artists was doing most everything in the model room and then going on stage and presenting it. And they were using what they said they were. So that's how I got involved, was by hanging around the model room. And then I got put to work, which I loved every minute of it. And then from that, it just grew into the position that I had. And I taught classes. I did some stage work. That was not my forte. The model room was always chaos. And I thought, you know, I think I can make the difference there. And I again convinced Pam to let me take that role over. And I had to convince her that of what I wanted to do. And mainly that was to add some structure to the model room. So I did that for many, many years.
Yeah, you did.
But then that evolved in, do you want me to go on? That evolved into me wanting to, because we were doing so many more events and shows and caravans and regionals and the symposium. And I was pretty much the one person doing that. And all of a sudden there was too much. And so my goal was to train other artists that really were interested in doing stage work or whatever, and see what I was doing. So I started, and my goal was to work with the distributors and place those people in different areas. And at that time we had 4 regions. And so I did that. And then then that all changed because distributors were being bought out. And I went to Kristen Farrell, who is with another manufacturer, and told her that I wanted to be, I should have backed that up. That was what my goal was to do that. And she looked at me and she says, well, sell me on it. So I gave her my spiel and she says, well, we need a policies and procedure manual. And I went, I just happen to have one. So I gave that to her. And the 4 people that I had trained that were working with me, that was Phyllis Pitcher and Staley Scott, God bless them, Terry Smith and Sheila Ferguson. Through the years, we collaborated and we grew that manual into what it was when I left. And so it was a collaboration that was a dream that I had, a goal that I had. I met that goal to a point, because I never got to be that person that positioned these other model room coordinators. But that's how it all came about, was someone listened to me.
That's awesome.
And that's how
Yeah.
I didn't know that myself. Sorry.
You didn't know that? No.
Well, now I do. I feel like, wow.
And I have to say, Fran, when you were there, you made all of us feel so secure that all we needed to do was come in and do our job, which was do the model's hair. That you had everything in place and it was run like such a slick show. I mean, there were rules, Joseph. Yeah. There were rules. Like, you could not leave the room without signing out. You couldn't enter the room without signing in. I mean, lunch, all those boiled eggs were counted. It was crazy. But I have to say, Fran, that I don't think we as Redken could have put on the shows that we did. And some of them were to 8,000, 10,000 people at a time. Had it not been for you and your team and the policies that you worked on to put together, because you need a slick ship to be able to, for the captain to look good, right? We were all the captains of our own little programs under the umbrella of Redken, but had that model room not been as it was, it would not have been as easy and as an enjoyable and stress-free job that it turned out to be. So again, thank you.
I think the stress was different. You know, it wasn't, we all have stress when we're in that situation because we always want to produce the best that we can. And I did have a good team and I was very passionate about that model room. I fought, and I will use the word fought for that model room to try to make it better than the one before. Yeah. And there were a lot of people. I mean, you're talking about 350 models at a symposium. You know, I can still give you, I know how many people it took to orchestrate that. And, you know, we didn't just roll in there and start to work. All of that started months before, as you well know, preparing your classes. And we had to find out what your needs were before we could order our product or our wardrobe or our makeup artist or wardrobe assistants, whatever it was. So there had to be a process and there had to be rules in order to get all that where it needed to be to produce that event. Because we produced that in 5 days, what it takes a Las Vegas review months to put together. Yeah. We rolled that thing out in 7 days.
Yeah, so true. That included preparing all the models. It included all the rehearsals, all the dancers. And it was incredible. So you just mentioned about how many people it takes to put on something like that. So where the model room was concerned, and you know, all the support teams that we used to have to lay out all the products. So all we needed to do was walk over to a table and pick our tube of color or our hairspray or whatever. How many people did it take to orchestrate and to work the model prep room for a show, which is the biggest show, is the Redken Symposium?
Well, we had typically 33 artists. So with that, it took 10 model room coordinators. You had 10 wardrobe assistants. You had 10 makeup artists. And we had 4 runners that would, as we went in, would set up the equipment, move the equipment to the classrooms, move the equipment back to the model rooms. We had 10 shampoo bowls that had to be set up. So we literally set up a 33 chair salon. Mm-hmm. And never enough space, never. But we made it work, you know. It was, and the towels, you know, you think about towels. You don't think about towels. But.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. There's thousands of towels, there's thousands of gowns, thousands of pieces of product. And I mean, it was insane and so well put together that, like I said, it was a breeze for us as artists. And by the way, each artist had a support of like 5 people on their team. So it was a lot of people. Crazy times and fantastic times. And you know, I just really hope that one day, after this awful pandemic that we've all been through, that one day it will be possible to have those experiences again, because the amount of reviews that we got from our audiences that were life-changing, and that sounds ridiculous when we're only talking about hair, but really, I mean, models that were begging to be in our shows because we treated them like they were the most precious person of our show, because they were. Without them, we couldn't do what we did. And, you know, there were other manufacturers that didn't treat their models so nicely. So they would be lining up for us. And, I mean, crazy times, crazy.
We had many that would come back year after year, you know.
Yeah, I know. We used to get them to grow their hair once we'd cut it all off so that they could come back next year with some hair, or 2 years later with some hair.
Right. And we changed some of their lives. I mean, we worked on abused children, abused women, abused men. We had from every walk of life, and we made a difference in a lot of those people's lives. And you know, and that in itself says a lot for what we do and what we've done, you know. And that's because we were able to touch people, literally touch them. And you know, there's not many professions that can say that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And thank goodness we are still that profession that can touch people.
You know,
Fran, what would you say that you owe your parents?
I owe my work ethic to my mother. I mean, she was a force to be reckoned with. You know, she was something else. She could do anything, but she actually helped build airplanes for Lockheed Georgia Company. Yeah.
Wow.
And you know, her greatest thrill was when they took a crew from from Marietta, Georgia to Palmdale, California, to get the C-5A out on the ground. I mean, get it in the air. So that was just the ultimate for her. Never flew in it, but she helped get it off the ground.
Oh, but that's so sad that she never flew in it.
I know, it broke my heart.
Yeah, that's not fair at all.
It wasn't. But yeah, my work ethic, because, you know, as she would say, we don't back up for a paycheck. So yeah, my mom.
Cool.
Yeah.
I know you're dying to go, Joseph.
Again, just have so many things, but you know, Fran, there's a lot that I could thank you for, and a lot of what I've accomplished today has come from what you have helped me accomplish when I was on the road. And I want you to do me a favor for a minute. I want to hear how you feel about this particular scenario, because you, as the model room coordinator, would see a lot of volunteers come to volunteer, correct?
Correct.
And that's where I started.
Yep.
And from those volunteers, you saw them grow into RPAs.
I did.
Can you explain what RPAs are, Joseph? Because not everyone might know.
Well, an RPA in the time of distributors, an RPA was a regional performing artist that was selected to do stage work on stage in regional areas. And many times the RPAs were a higher brand that would get selected to be asked to go work at a symposium or at the ABS show or in New York or those shows. And I know that Fran has seen them grow from a volunteer to an RPA, and then grow from an RPA to an NPA, which was
into a global artistic director, right?
Yep.
That's right.
You know, we're all parents somewhat, so we've seen kids grow, but like, how do you feel about what you saw? You saw a lot of beginning talent that didn't even know, and you watched them grow and develop into these on-stage symposium individuals. I mean, how did that make you feel?
Wonderful. I mean, I just, well, like I said, very passionate about the model room. And if someone showed an interest that wanted to be there, then I wanted to help them reach their next goal, which maybe they just wanted to, not just, maybe their goal was to support the model room. And I wanted to help them do that. Not everybody wanted to be on stage, but they wanted to be in that work area, that back room, that model room, whatever you want to call it, for their growth, which I feel like helped them grow in their salon. So, you know, there's many areas. It doesn't have to be standing on that platform. That's not for everybody, but thank God it's for some. You know, we'd be in sad shape. But we needed everyone. And like I said, I fought for that model room in so many different areas. And there was a time where they didn't want people, they didn't want volunteers.
Right.
You know, it's like, no, you might be missing something there. So, you know, what do we have to do to make that happen? So, you know, I saw the Hugo Uriah's, Joseph, and I mean, names are just Chris Barron. You know, he came in from Canada and had this big long mane of hair. You know, he was our perm guru, and the Sam Villa, and you know, the list just goes on and on. One year I worked with the top 5 hairdressers in the world. And now that was a feather in my cap. You know, I thought, oh my gosh, how do you beat this? But there was always something. It might not have topped that, but it would come real close, you know? So, and when I started working for other distributors, and I actually worked for some other manufacturers. Well, the distributors had more than just Redken. So I was introduced to many other artists and other manufacturers. And that was also life-changing because I got to see a different perspective, you know, and I worked with the Charlie Miller team, and
you worked with the Trevor Sorby team.
I worked with the Trevor Sorby team, and Benny Tognini, and I mean, it just goes on and on, you know, and until you put yourself out there, you don't know what's available. So I was blessed.
Yeah, what a book you could write.
Oh, right. I mean, we were all blessed. But, you know, Fran, one thing that I think really stands out for me over the years of working with you was that when there was a drama, of which there were many, you just came into your own, regardless of whether it's a model's mother freaking out or whether it's an artist freaking out or an artist not having got out of bed yet, or whatever the scenarios were, the way you handled them was always with discretion, with a beautiful patience and caring, but you got the job done without us getting sued, which was really cool most of the time. But what trait would you say was the one that you're proudest of that you have?
Oh, I was scared to death to approach you artists. Let me tell you, if there was I was scared to death. And I have my own little saying, you know, it's like that pulled me through. It's like, you know, you have to do this. This is part of the job, you know, part of the, and treat them like you want to be treated. If there's something going on, you have to listen to their side. There's 3 sides, you know, the right, the wrong, the indifferent, whatever. And I hope I was able to do that. I didn't always handle it the best it could be handled. But I gave it my best. And if I saw later that I could have done it different, I was always willing to go back and revisit that with the person and try to hopefully have them feel better about what our discussion was. And I hope I was able to do that, because I never wanted to leave anyone feeling anything less than important.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't always about right and wrong.
No, it's not. And we're all human at the end of the day. And like you said just a short while ago, the stress levels in a model prep room are through the roof, because there is so much pressure on each and every individual that's working in it, as well as the models, as well as the choreographers, the dancers, everyone that is involved is under an enormous amount of stress. And I don't think people realize that. You know, it's very easy for us to sit in an audience and look at what's happening on a stage and criticize it.
Yeah.
Right.
Rarely do any of us understand what goes on and the amount of work, effort, love, and passion that goes into producing one of those shows or being one of the little pieces in those shows. So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's so good, Fran, to have you on, because we've never spoken about this side of our industry from the back end of it.
Right.
You know, what goes on behind the scenes, which is always way more dramatic and interesting than what the audience sees. Right?
Yeah. Well, you asked me earlier about what I learned in life. And in the beginning, I just now thought of this, is what helped me in the model room is I took a really great course for women, and it had to do business. And there is no such thing as a difficult person. People are either self-starters or they need to be guided into doing something, or they don't know what they're supposed to do. So you have to help them. You know, and so once I started understanding that, just because a person was sitting down, maybe it's because they didn't know what they were supposed to do next. Well, let's tell them. And help them grow into that. You know, there's self-starters, there's people you got to tell how to do. And then, you know, it seemed to work for me. You know, I got lost in that thought because a person popped into my brain. But
was it Chris?
You name them.
Was it Chris?
Not right now. It's just, you know, and then there are some people that, you know, even though they don't want to do the job, if you're hired to do something, then you need to do it. And that was my opinion. And if you don't want to do it, then we can find somebody that will. And and we didn't have much of that. Was most everybody wanted to be there. Had a model or two that was a little difficult, but we straightened those out and went on with the program. You know.
Yeah.
And Chris, I'm sure you have experienced what I've experienced with Fran being backstage in the model room, and we had a model that we were doing on stage, and we just released them because it's like the audience doesn't know your rhythm, so you might have felt like, oh shit, that just wasn't the haircut I wanted to do. And I speak from experience because that's what happened to me when mine got up and went to the model room when I was still on stage finishing what I was doing. And oh my God, that dreadful face of Fran Bowen looking down off stage and seeing her looking at you going.
Now you have.
I find it hilarious, Fran. You think, and by the way, this is Fran Attaway in today's world. Used to be Fran Bowen. Fran, I can't believe you were scared of me. How the heck did you
all the artists
believe that?
We're not scared, but you know, you gotta go, you know, I really need to talk to you for a moment. Well, I'm busy. No, I really need to talk to you. And Stephanie Mayo was the best. Said, if you ever see Fran sitting there and she's doing this, you better run.
Too true.
Think how to handle this, you know.
Oh yeah.
all the different settings, though.
You can call it fear, but there was some fear in there, and respect. Definitely a lot of respect for everybody on those stages. I mean, and unless you're in that room, you really don't have any idea what the artists go through to get ready. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually.
Yeah.
You don't have any idea. You know, it's
No, I know. And it was such an honor to have been a part of that world for me, certainly from almost the day I started doing hair. I was standing on a stage somewhere. So, and hilarious when I look back, because I always say to people, no, I'm just a hairdresser and I don't have any academic qualifications. That's the truth. I have lots of hairdressing qualifications, but, you know, that doesn't mean anything to a person that you meet at a party or something, because they're like, well, how many hires have you got, or how many in the UK degrees and diplomas? And you're like, I don't even know how to spell that. You know, I'm just a hairdresser. Yeah. But it is an incredible life.
It is.
Continue, Joseph. I know that you've got stuff that you want Fran to answer.
This is a great, like you said, Chris, we never really had the opportunity other than at the end of the weekend when you had kind of your post discussion and everybody kind of went around. But what we really never had, as I'm listening to this particular interview that we're doing, the group of individuals that are in my head that would enjoy to listen to this as well, because you and I right now, this is a special moment. I feel, because there's a lot of Hugos and Chris's and Sam's and just like the whole compass cutting team. I mean, we were that whole cluster. Remember that, Fran?
I do.
That brand new little cluster, and we couldn't break away from each other. We were so tight because we were trained tight. We were like veal, right? We were trained to do this, and it was afraid to go over there and meet Chris because we were over here doing our own. It was really a fascinating time in this industry, and I would not have ever said in a million years it wasn't wonderful and remarkable. But it was scary to me. Fran was who you checked in with first, and if you got like past that with a smile or a hug, it was like, oh, it's going to be a great weekend. Well, I just have to make sure my work is great. But you know what, Fran, you to me, I don't know of another, and Chris, maybe you do. I don't know of another icon in her role in this industry.
No, absolutely not. And that's why I'm so honored and delighted to have only ever worked with Fran. It was in my Redken life, which was 20 years. My life before that, which was too many years. No, just kidding. But, you know, it's we've been talking about the model prep room, but prior to us all getting there and starting to work on the models, there's the casting.
Yes.
It's a whole nother thing that Fran was involved with. And contacting model agencies and making sure that there was hundreds of models for us to choose from. Otherwise, Fran would get it in the neck that all the artists would be pissed because they haven't got models to choose from. And there were some teams that, you know, they were maybe going out on a limb too far that you can't even get people to have that type of work done on their hair. You know,
the biggest thing was they wanted androgynous models, and we're sitting in Las Vegas.
Oh, that was me.
Well, that was you and a couple others. It's like everybody in Vegas has boobs. You know?
Right? God. Yeah, that was me. I wanted androgynous. That was funny. Or twins. I remember giving you that one as well.
But we found them.
Yeah, you did. I can't remember how many sets of twins, but they were amazing. Yeah, but we weren't easy as artists. So poor Fran.
Early on when we, I mean, I did so many things that I never thought were in my realm of doing. But when artists would travel to other countries, I would send I worked with export and import, and shipping agencies would make sure that everything got there. And that involves, I mean, you had to log in how many straight pins you had and what were the length of them and were you going to resell them and all this kind of stuff. I had no idea I was ever going to do carnets or anything like that. So you don't have it, and I hate to say just a hairdresser unless you want to be. There's so much more out there to do. Right. And not everybody is cut out for what I did. Right. There were some, and I was fortunate enough to find them. And my goal was always to leave this industry better than what I found it. And in my position, and I can walk down those model rooms and see other manufacturers using the systems that all 5 of us created, you know. I started it, but we created it together. And even the artists would make suggestions and we would incorporate that in. So
that's so true, because on our debriefs, which we had after every show, we would all sit together and discuss what could we do better. And it was great how you were always open to something new, or you had a really great explanation of why that was never going to happen. What would you say was the worst job that you ever had, or that you ever did? And it could be just one, like you just mentioned, doing carnets, which for those of you that don't know what carnets are, it's like you take a wardrobe that is a model wardrobe that is being shipped out to another country. You have to say what the threads are made of. You have to say how many buttons. You have to say how many zip. I mean, ridiculously detailed things, because they're for the export and import duty things and all of that. So nightmare. But in all that you did, Fran, what was the worst thing you ever had to do? Besides tell me off.
Tell you off. We all get sideways with people every now and then, you know, you have to line it back up. But, Chris, I don't know. No,
well, then tell us what the funniest thing was. I mean, what was go ahead and name names is what I'm saying.
Well, I can tell you the word one. I've got 3 things that really stand out as far as things that happened that I was horrible. I was doing a signature session with Trevor Sorby, and Jane Kaplan was there, and Trevor gave me a slide and said, "This is important. I'll get it later. Take care of it." So, I go over and I have my little book and I have this slide sleeve, and I put this slide in there. Not only did I put the slide in the slide sleeve, I paper clipped it to the slide. Okay. It's not going to fall out. When he called for it, it's not there. That slide was gone. And of course, he got a little sideways. Ending that slide, and Jane Kaplan,
that wasn't pretty. I can vouch for that.
That was my responsibility. So for people who don't know what strike the room was, I completely cleared out that model room all the way down to the plastic looking for that slide. I was horrified that I was given that responsibility and it wasn't there. And Jane Kaplan walks in and she said, "It's a slide, Fran. Tell him to pick another one."
No, I know the slide that you're talking about.
I am not going back and say that to him. And she said, "Yes, you are." And I went down to him because that's what she told me to do. And I did it, but I was horrified. Never found that slide.
No.
Never.
But what ended up happening?
Another one.
Yeah, we picked another one, but then, why didn't we do it the first time round? Is we doubled up all of the slides so that because in those days you had this carousel thing, you're always getting tipped over, and and the slides would get damaged, and nightmare. Thank goodness.
That was horrible. That stands out pretty top of the list. And the other thing was we used to do Hair Color USA, and we shipped in skids or color because you gave away color to the attendees, and you also use the color to present it. We didn't have any developer.
Oh my goodness. And the two hand in hand, if you don't know.
And Charlie Kennedy opened the warehouse. I went through that warehouse where it had gone into drayage, and I looked and I said, I know I ordered this, but I didn't have any paperwork. It was all in my office. Well, I never ordered it.
Oh,
I never ordered it. So of course it couldn't be there. But we were able to get into some of the stores and get enough to do our presentation with. But we didn't have any. Oh no, I didn't order it. That was a nightmare.
Yeah.
That was a big color show too.
Yeah. So we had to come up with our developer to do our color because we were not going to present. But we got the stores to go in and pull us enough to do our color.
And this is it, Fran. You know, I think a part of what, as Redken, we always focused on was treating people with respect and love. Because then if ever you need to pull a favor, like I need 30 bottles of 20 volume developer,
yep.
You can pick up a phone, call the salons, and they will help. And you know, that to me is huge, that it's not always so visible in other industries. But I think as hairdressers, we do stick together. We do help each other. We will go that extra mile. Just because we work for different salons or different manufacturers, we still would pull together and help each other out. And I've seen it time and time again. It doesn't matter what country I've been in. And it is about building relationships and having respect.
It truly
I just love that we've been in this industry, and I love that we've been in it together.
Well, I do too. I've learned so much. Being in Grand Rapids and going in the model room earlier, and what is her last name? What is her name? Beautiful woman from England.
A colorist?
You know, oh my word. But anyway, we were there early, and there was housekeeping there cleaning up the rooms. She had a beautiful long braid, her and her husband.
Oh, are you talking about Rita Irvin and Rita Rusk?
No, but I remember. Anyway, I'll come up with it. But anyway, we had all these cables laid on the floor, and she couldn't, the housekeeper couldn't get her carts through. And I turned around and looked, now I'm going to help her get these carts through. Her last name starts with an S. Oh, I'm just totally blank. But
it's not Sorby, obviously.
It wasn't
There's a stand coming in there, but that I don't remember. But anyway, we were both there together helping this woman in housekeeping move her cart. And I'm thinking, that's pretty awesome, because we're all here. We needed her cleaning those rooms as to make it good for us to go in and work. And for her, I am so sorry, I don't remember your name, but for her to come out and help get that cart over, it doesn't matter what your position is. And I don't think we ever looked at anyone's position being any less than what ours was or any more than what ours was. And that's huge, because we were in a lot of places.
Yeah. And like you say, Fran, that's huge in life, never mind just in what we were doing. What? That's I wish there was more respect when you're walking down the street and you walk past somebody, little things like that. But there we are.
Yeah. We've forgotten to smile.
Yeah. Well, with a mask on, it's irrelevant. Anyway.
We can still smile with our eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
You cover your face. You could, you're someone smiling.
That's true. Yeah.
That is true.
Not Stanwyck. What is her name? Oh, well.
Well, I'll probably remember it next
Is
week.
it Sharon? Sharon Anthony?
Oh, no, but no,
Sharon's Canadian.
She's from the
Right.
UK.
And her hair was too short to braid.
Oh, yeah.
Going with S.
Beautiful braid down her back.
And how long ago was this?
Oh, this was back in when I first met you. It was back in the 90s.
Was it, or was it the 80s? It could have been late 80s.
It could have been late 80s.
Yeah.
Back.
Fast time.
And the first place I think I ever met you was in Grand Rapids to do that show.
Yep.
And
you were actually sewing.
Oh yeah, of course.
Motorcycle.
The wardrobe, and yeah, I know. How do you relax? How do you relax, Fran?
Oh,
what are you doing now? Are you retired now?
I am retired, completely retired. I love gardening. I love working in the yard. And I've started canning and putting vegetables and fruits away, making jams and jellies. And
wow.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
How lovely.
It is. It's wonderful. You know, there's a whole different world. And that you have to stay right with the recipe. Or
are you pickling? Are you pickling?
I am.
My gosh, think about this, Chris. We could get Fran pickling, and then Fran could start pickling, and all of the stylists she's worked with through all these years would be dying over her Fran's jam.
And you know what, Fran, you could name each jar after one of the artists that you've worked with. You know,
good.
Justin Pickles.
Justin.
Baron Pickles. And
Justin's would definitely have to be lots of jalapeno.
Yes.
And that would be Hugo as well. So the Uriah's Pickles.
You go. You can find it.
Mouth is watering.
I know. As we come, something says we could probably go on for a long time and edit this into 4 things, because I know that there's a lot of stories that you could share that are not only funny, but probably extremely heartfelt with losses and certain things that has come with all this. And certainly that's quite a diary. But what I would like to say to you right now is that if you were to put Fran Attaway on paper that was going to go into a time capsule, right? And in 20 years, they'll open it and they'll read about you. What would you want young baby hairdressers or stylists to read about you?
Oh, Lord.
Just a few things. Could be 3 things, actually.
Well,
Talk about.
I gave this industry everything I had, you know, and I don't know, Joseph. I've never been good at filling out forms or writing about myself or my thoughts.
I know, that's why I'm asking.
I know. It's one of the most, it was the best thing I could have chosen to do in my life. I loved every minute of my career, whether it was standing behind that chair or in the model room. That was pretty rewarding, though, because I don't know, Joseph. I just hope that, like I said, that I made a difference and that I was fair. You know, I can't, I don't know.
Okay. I think that's.
I don't know. I wouldn't take anything for any of it. You know, there was more good than there was ever bad. It was always learning. I was always learning. And I learned from everybody, you know. I don't know.
It's okay. I have one little question I've always wondered. So when the lights went off at night and everyone went to bed at the shows, did you sneak in the model room and color your own hair?
No. No. The only time I colored my hair was after my surgery in January. And let me tell you, that's the reason it got shorter and shorter. You know, it was longer in the picture because I know what I'm doing. Well, let me tell you, I don't when it comes to my own. No, I didn't.
Isn't that crazy?
Gorgeous now.
Thank you.
I like it too.
In January, Fran?
Pardon me?
You had surgery this past January?
I did. I was telling Joseph I had spine surgery.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like the best ever.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I had surgery in January as well.
Ooh.
I had my part of my right lung cut out. I had lung cancer.
Oh, and you're good?
Fantastic. Back in the gym, on the tennis courts and all of that. But, you know, I remember you used to say to me, you're going out for another cigarette. I wish you'd said it more.
You know, I know, you know, I didn't quit smoking until 10 years ago when I got hit in the head with a tree. And I'm laying on the gurney, you know, scalp's laying over on the gurney. And they said, do you smoke? And I said, not after today, and never smoked again.
Wow.
That's a bad way to quit smoking, people.
Right. Wow.
I did. No, I didn't be hit on the head by a tree.
I did.
Oh, my goodness.
So, yeah. But, you know, I will say that Justin Isaac, he had a mole. And my son also had metastatic basal cell cancer and melanoma. And I'd look at Justin. I said, would you have a look at that, please? It's fine. And I said, Justin, really, would you just? So he did. And he called me from the doctor's office. And he said, I'm sitting in the doctor's office having this looked at. So, you know, I feel like I made a difference there.
Yeah.
You know? And thankfully it turned out well, but he did go have it looked at. You know, we're not doctors by any stretch of imagination, but, you know, we do see the head and the face differently than when we're looking at ourselves. So, and as a hairdresser, I have, you know, I always took a picture of a suspicious spot as a baseline and encouraged my guests to go have them checked. And several of them have had cancer. And because of that, they caught it quickly. So that's another thing as a hairdresser, you know, that can make a difference. We make a difference. And I just hope that the young people coming into this industry or this profession will gather their knowledge from reputable, respectful schools and stop watching all of this stuff on YouTube and TikTok and all that, because it's so diluted. That's your word, it's diluted.
Yeah.
Wow. Now that's pretty. Those words. How do we keep interrupting each other?
Because we get excited, Joseph.
We do get excited.
We can now finish each other's sentences.
You can.
I know you were going to say to Fran, that set of words right there are the most perfect way we could close this interview, because I hope that people take things as seriously as the three of us did, certainly. And, you know, sometimes I think what I've seen on YouTube, I've stopped watching hairdressing things on YouTube because I can't handle it anymore. I think you're not being serious, and you're dealing with people here. You're dealing with people, you're dealing with their emotions and their aesthetic. So take it seriously. Fran, I had no idea that I would ever see your beautiful face again. And I am so, so delighted that I have. And thank you for agreeing to come on iConixxx and letting the world know how many thousands and thousands of people you supported and the difference that you did make in their lives. We love you.
And all of them made a difference in my life. You know, they did.
Yeah. And You look so good. You know, you look like day one, 30 years ago, 30
Oh yeah.
when I met you in Lake Geneva as a
Yeah.
volunteer.
You were a volunteer.
I was a volunteer. And you know what? I never had the opportunity of saying this to you, but thank you, thank you, thank you for giving me every damn opportunity that you. I don't think it was just because of fate, but when I think of the things that you made me do, from running a blow dryer up to Paula, which got me to know her from a different end, to working with Martin Parsons and having to iron all those freaking I mean, to running bags and bags and bags of towels in Vegas in a cab to the laundromat. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I just want to thank you because all of that made me who I am today. And I told you this before, as good as you feel, I now feel too, as I now focus 100% on my school, and I just left salon and spa behind. So I see the next few years of my life to just be so wonderful and juicy. But as I always say this too, I would love for you to speak for a little bit to the students at the school and share with them this story, because to them, that's not something they can YouTube. Right, Chris? No.
No, they can't. So don't put it on YouTube, Fran. Got to do it in person. No,
I would love to come and do it in person, you know. I would.
Yeah.
I would.
Well, maybe.
You know, it's always a part of you. It never goes away.
No.
No. We're never fully retired, are we?
No. Never. No.
No. I don't think we can be. Like you said before, once a hairdresser, always a hairdresser in some way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
So with this note, I say, I don't want to say goodbye. I don't like that, but we'll say, you know, see you later, Fran. Please take care of yourself, and I will stay in touch with you.
Please do, both of you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Stay on for a second as we end. Chris, thank you very, very much. And you had some absolutely amazing questions today that I found myself being quiet and just listening to the answer to.
And that is so rare, Fran.
Oh, that's rare. That's rare.
But I love it.
All right. So over and out, everybody. Please go ahead and watch some other iConixxx and also stay tuned for what we have coming. So over and out. Peace.